Yeah. Oh, that was a little bit better. He developed a little more strength. See that muscle start to turn on? Let's do it a third time and hold. Now we can lock it pretty well. So it just needed a little turning back on, which is fine. So supraspinatus on Peter, doing pretty good. Okay, let's move into the more specific subscap move, and that is internal rotation. Okay. Now, when we let's go back. When we were in this position, we were getting some subscap, we were getting some teres minor, we were getting some teres major, which by the way is not a rotator cuff, but still in the upper extremity. Okay. So a lot of moves. Now we're also getting some lat in this. All right. So we rotate to isolate out, but these moves, like I said, are not 100% specific to one muscle. But we want to get them because those are typically what cause the most restriction. Have him close his hand again. Now, I like to use this arm to keep his shoulder flattened onto the table. Now, why do we do that? I'm going to show you the reason. Might be a little hard to see from there because we're on the opposite side. If we just rotate his shoulder and it's tight, what's going to happen is the whole shoulder girdle is going to lift up. All right, so we're not going to stretch specifically what we're trying to stretch because you're going to get that compensation of the whole shoulder lifting, and so you're not going to be able to put the stretch into the area you're trying to get it to. So I like to take this part of my arm, don't put it right on the head of the humerus, put it just off, just barely onto the pec. Now we rotate his arm down, and that's a pretty hard stretch for him. So let's do several of these. One, okay. And again, and stretch. Yep, that's tough for him. Also, arm in the 90-degree position is pretty critical. Okay, so 90-degree position, hand closed, wrist pretty much in neutral, and here we go back down again. Good. So, not bad stretch for him. All right, next upper extremity shoulder specific stretch, elbow straight. Palm hand position is important, and position of hand determines what you're stretching. So in this position, where the palm is facing his head, you're going to get mostly, you'll get some triceps, some lat, some teres major, some teres minor. So we get a lot of stuff here. If we turn his palm this way, we're going to get, you don't get very much resistance, I should say, and you don't really isolate out these muscles below the arm. So we're going to turn this way, a lot more restrictive from here. All right, and let's just check his strength while we're here. Go ahead and push to the ceiling. Now, not bad, pretty decent strength, pretty good control. We're also looking for ratcheting or that shaking thing that we get when the muscles haven't fired much. Go ahead and push to the ceiling. Excellent. Okay, so we do 5 iterations of stretch. Not going to push yet, Peter.
Oh, sorry.
All right. Just stretch for now. And I like to take it through different angles. Okay, so we start out toward the head. Now, again, I've got my hand here, not on top of his elbow because I don't want to put elbow pressure. Just the other side of the elbow and come down, control him with his hand here. And as we go through these angles. Now, as you get this specific angle right here, this is a transition point from one rotator cuff muscle to another. And this is the area you're going to find the majority of the tightness, specific to the rotator cuff. Okay, right in here. And that's where they usually complain of feeling a lot of restriction. Okay, so overhead, external rotation, internal rotation, and now we're going to do a little cross-body stretch that's going to get almost entirely infraspinatus, but also gets some tricep, a few other things. So what I like to do is get them to hand me their other hand, and I put it right here, because what I want to do is be able to anchor myself across his arm. Certainly we're trying to keep a barrier between them. You don't want to grab their body. Now, elbow is straight. So elbow straight as you can get it, Peter. Let your arm come across. Good. We bring it all the way across their body, and then after we've done this a few times, we're going to have him push. And then we're going to see how that's firing. Now, what I like to do is I like to, at the same time I'm pushing, I give a little pull here so I can get stress on that part of the muscle. You'll see people do this all the time when they're working out. So what they're trying to stretch? They're trying to stretch the back side of that shoulder, posterior delt, infraspinatus, anything else that that might be restricted in that position will get a stretch. Okay, let's give me a push straight at me, see how that is. Okay, pretty good with him. Okay, the next thing we're going to do in this series is we're going to move the client all the way to the edge of the table. Come on toward me. Good. Now we're going to stretch the pec and any related muscles in this position off the table. So we got to be careful again that we don't put pressure on the elbow. So we take our hand, put it above the elbow, and bring his arm out, starting in these higher positions, because now this is mostly pec and deep muscles of the upper extremities. Now, once we've gone through 3 or 4 or 5 iterations of this, we see how far they go. Now we're going to have him open his hand. You're going to put your hand on his hand, bring his arm down, and we're going to flex his wrist. Now he's already feeling a lot of stretch. I haven't even gotten him down yet. So this will translate straight up the arm this way, and wherever they're the tightest is where they're going to feel it the most. So they may feel it in the wrist, may feel it in the lower arm, may feel it in the tricep or bicep, depending. They may only feel it in the chest. Every client's different. So for him, he's already feeling it a lot in his arm. I can tell it's in the arm, right? That elbow straight's critical. And just slightly on him, I can't really push the hand very much. So this is all about patient feedback. A lot of stretch for him, okay? So we're going to go in, 1 second burst only, 1 second burst. That's about all they can tolerate. And it's a strange feeling. It's one of those feelings that's very hard to describe, but it's extremely effective at trying to get all of this arm and chest released. Down and a little bit of fingers, easy again. And we can do that as many times as you think you need to get a good response. Okay, so that's the basic shoulder stretch. I'm going to move next into some, we're going to do some neck stretches. We're going to do a thoracic stretch. I'm going to do a few more things that kind of get the upper extremity. We're going to do that in the next video, so I'll see you in the next stretch, okay?